You snoozed twice this morning, spilled your coffee once, and you've already blamed last night's referee for your morning mood.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's time to embrace the chaos and step into the madness.
Bro, you about to see a side of me you didn't even know existed.
Featuring guests who are over-caffeinated and less reasonable than the average person.
Man, I think it's just ridiculous.
Come on, man. Are you serious? Ugh.
Fans, where else would you rather be than right here, right now? Welcome to the show.
So buckle up. It's time for hot takes and hot mics. This is the Morning Rant, where the only thing more unpredictable is Dave before his third cup of coffee.
I just felt like running.
On WPGY, the Sports Pig.
North Georgia, what's up on a wet and windy Thursday in North Georgia? Appreciate you guys being with us right here on the program. Dave Garner with you till 11 o'clock as we jump right into the world of sports. And man, oh man, there's a lot of things going on. So we got a lot to cover, a lot of ground to cover here over this next 60 minutes. And once again, we appreciate you guys being with us right here on the Morning Rant. Again, right here on the Sports Pig. We are the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia, on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com. Appreciate you guys being with us right here. I hope you're having a good morning so far. I've just now started my coffee. I've had a lot of phone calls, a lot of things going on this morning, so I'm still pretty early in the morning cycle, if you will, and so we're still trying to get adjusted right here, but we are ready to rock and roll. A lot of stuff going on in free agency right now in the NFL. Kirk Cousins officially released by the Atlanta Falcons. We're going to dive into that and all the news surrounding the league as the New Year League begins for this year. We're going to talk a World Baseball Classic, and we're going to dive in with our Atlanta Braves and with our baseball insider, Will Cooper, the Golden Boy, joining us right here as well, right here on the Morning Rant. Also going to dive into some high school basketball, a big weekend on tap down in Macon. Again, the Creekview Lady Grizzlies taking on Milton in the 5A girls title. That is going to be tomorrow afternoon at 5:30, and we'll have live coverage of that over on our sister station over on the Pulse on 101.1 FM. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And then Saturday morning as well, the Murray County Lady Indians getting another crack at it as they take on Hardaway in a true rematch of last year's 2A bracket. That coming up later in the show as well. It's a thirsty Thursday right here on the Morning Rant. And with that, we welcome in the Golden Boy, Will Cooper, joining us right here on the program. How you doing, buddy?
Hey man, I'm just like you, a little bit behind the eight ball as far as my caffeine goes. So I had to break out the jet fuel, as it's called, one of these energy drinks that all the kids drink. I guess I fit in now.
Yeah,
300 milligrams of caffeine in my body.
Well, you were saying last week that you're no longer the young guy on the block. You're not the new kid on the block anymore. You know, you're not that low what's the new generation called now? You know, you got the millennials, then you got the Gen Alpha, Gen Z, and now there's another one. Yeah, is that what it is? I can't keep up, man. You know, I'm just an old. I'm like the boomer now. You know, so. Man, anyway. And speaking of that, too, by the way, Coop, how's the time change been treating you? Because I know you're an hour behind, you know, so.
Yeah, time change is always tough. I hate it whether we move forward, move back. I love more sunlight. It's obviously a great thing, but sometimes I just wish we could, for once and for all, split the difference, 30 minutes separate, and let's just roll with it, man. Because this back and forth stuff, it kills me for like a month.
That's an interesting take. Yesterday we were in here with Casey Geiger from Geiger Legal, which, by the way, Geiger Legal is one of our sponsors right here on the program, friends of the program. Casey got to sit in and do some sports talk yesterday, did a great job, and we were talking about the time change, and he's a little bit younger. He's kind of in between you and I, Coop, as far as age goes, but he was saying, it definitely affects him, and I think that the older I get, for whatever reason, it seems to affect me more. Like when you were a kid and you had to get up an hour early for school, it kind of bit you for a couple of days, but it seems like the older I get, it takes me like at least a full week, if not longer, but at least a full week to be able to get on the other side of the time change. So hopefully by next week, I'll be ready to go. But this morning here in Atlanta, in North Georgia, wind, rain, we've had 70s all week. And then all of a sudden we wake up this morning, it's cold, it's wet, it's windy, it's in the 30s, right at 40 degrees. So I had to break back out the long sleeve pullovers. And then we're here in this studio, which kind of stays a little warm. And so now I'm, you kind of get stuck in between that time, but at least it's good to see you in short sleeves today.
Just because I turned the heat on, man. And this is the warmest room in the house. If it wasn't for the heat, I would be just like you, all bundled up.
There you go. Well, let's dive into it right here, partner. Again, a lot of things going on in the world of sports as we've talked about, and really, talking about the Braves. And I want to continue our discussion this morning where we left off last week, talking about this Braves lineup, the potential opening day, starters, what have you. The biggest thing I want to talk about right now starting out is the rotation. I mean, obviously, Schwellenbach, some of these guys going down early with some injuries already in spring training. We already know we lost Profar out of the batting order there. But what is your take so far on what you've learned and what you've heard so far about the Braves starting rotation going into the opening day game here in the next couple of weeks?
I think just like, Snoop Dogg level chances of there being another injury before we get to the season, super high. When you look at the fact that Chris Sale is, 40 plus, and nothing wrong with Chris Sale, but that's a lot of strain on an older body.
Yeah, absolutely.
Spencer Strider has been a guy that has been up and down, especially over the last couple of years with injuries. I don't know that we'll ever see the 2023 version of Spencer Strider ever again as far as velocity goes.
Yeah.
And then everybody else that kind of backfills behind that are names that when you see the rotation roll through, you're almost clamoring back for the days of 2023, 2022. And again, we talked about this earlier, I guess last week when I was last on with you, that with Jerks and Profar's suspension, there's some extra money there. Would they go out and get a frontline pitcher? And the answer coming out of camp is no.
Yeah.
So we're stuck with who we got right now, and the pickings are pretty slim behind your first two guys in the rotation.
Yeah, and definitely no doubt about that. I think that's probably the case. That's the biggest thing I think that worries or concerns, if you will, a lot of Braves fans is the starting rotation, because we saw what happened last year when you didn't have that solidified. You were decimated by injuries. Obviously, we know this team really top to bottom, not just in the pitching staff, but also around the field too. Austin Riley, some of those guys banged up out of the lineup. It'll be interesting to see. You have a first-year manager in Walt Weiss, that hasn't completely necessarily had to deal with this kind of stuff. He's been a kind of a bench coach and an assistant and everything. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles it. But he's been around the organization a long time as both a player and a coach. So we'll see kind of what that rotation looks like as we kind of move throughout that. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show as we continue our Braves talk this morning. Right now, playing a lot of split games, split lineup games, things like that. Real quick, as we kind of throw out the headlines here, your opinion of Team USA baseball. Something else we'll dive into later in the show as well. But what about Mark DeRosa, the former Brave, now the manager of Team USA, not realizing that his team was not automatically in the quarterfinals like he thought?
Well, I think this is what Europeans and lower quality nationalities talk about when they talk about American arrogance. I wouldn't know, being a red-blooded American. I can't imagine what that's like. But it is kind of funny because it's like the assumption just so much for, especially in baseball, America's pastime, that this group that we were in, there wasn't going to be any problems. Look, it comes down to it. You got a guy like, we talked about it last week, Bryce. He's batting 200.
Right.
Matt Olson declined the call. Is that what I'm hearing? You ought to at least give the big boy a shout. I don't know what's going on over there with Team USA selection, but, we got Clayton Kershaw rolling out there with his AARP letter. I don't know who put this team together, but I will admit, Pete Crow Armstrong, I owe an apology to, because he is batting an incredible clip and hitting the cover off the baseball.
Yeah, Kyle Schwarber. Some of those guys that we love to root against in the regular season of the MLB playoffs. We're kind of rooting for everybody right now except for maybe Bryce Harper. It's kind of like you said last week, and I loved it. We hope that we're ahead enough that we can watch Bryce Harper strike out and not have to risk the season being over with. Mark DeRosa is a guy that even during his playing days, and again, no disrespect, was always kind of seen a little bit personality wise as a little bit of a dipstick, honestly. And so, here he is as the manager of Team USA, kind of being a little bit of a dipstick, not understanding necessarily where they were at in the entire bracket system and how this thing worked. And so he did catch a little bit of heat for that. But what do you say? The guy made a mistake. I get it. You move past it. It's kind of a moot point now, obviously, with Team Italy Team Italy, in air quotes, of course, beating Team Mexico last night 9-1 behind a solid pitching performance by Aaron Nola, of course, another Philadelphia Philly. But we'll root for him last night, and they had to get it done. And everybody was saying, well, Team USA, they need to be sending over some champagne over to that Team Italy hotel or what have you, because really they had to have that in order to stay in the baseball classic. So now Team USA getting ready to take on Canada as we move out of pool play now. Indeed move into the actual quarterfinals, where Team USA needed help to advance because of that loss to Italy the other night. They basically knew after the fifth inning last night, due to run differential, that they were in. Team USA did. So it didn't necessarily come down to the final result necessarily of the game last night between Italy and Mexico. But nonetheless, Team USA is in there. I've been really impressed so far with Team Dominican, the Dominican Republic 4-0, Japan 4-0, as expected, obviously, with guys like Shohei. It goes without saying. And it may very well come down to, you hope it comes down to Team USA against Japan, I think, or certainly Dominican Republic team there. But we got to get past Canada first, man, at this point. You got to take them one at a time.
Well, Team Italy has more players born in New Jersey than they do in Italy on their team.
Yes.
Aaron Nola, notable Cherokee County native, or I should say currently living in Cherokee County.
Right, yes.
What are we doing here? But at the same time, to your point, I agree with you. And I think that's the question for Team USA at this point is, obviously we beat the Canadians at their own game in hockey, so we can't let that happen to us. Yeah. So that's business number one. But is there any shame in losing to Japan or the Dominican Republic? Probably not. But again, it really puts a big old ding in that American arrogance that we were talking about that I am so proud to be arrogant of.
I love it. And that's a golden boy, golden take right here on the Morning Rant. We appreciate you guys being with us. We're moving it around here in this first segment, kind of letting you know what we're going to talk about over the next three segments. Basketball real quick. Conference tourneys underway for the big boys. Some of the smaller conferences, of course, wrapping up. So the field of 64, or really, I guess, 65 or whatever they've got now, starting to take shape a little bit. Selection Sunday, of course, looming this Sunday, and we'll know who's going to be where. Hopefully, Miami of Ohio, at potentially at 31-0, will make the field. I mean, you would hope so. We talked about that a little bit last week. Obviously, Damon Stoudemire being kicked out of Georgia Tech after the men's team at Tech failed to make the ACC tournament this year, so they'll be looking for a new coach. And then the big basketball news, though, so far this week, and I know you're not a huge hoop fan necessarily at the NBA level, but how about that Bam Adebayo 83-point game the other night against the Wizards?
Yeah, so I saw the stat. It's Bryant. Kobe Bryant has the third most points. Bam has the second, and then
Wilt Chamberlain, 100-point game. Yeah,
Wilt Chamberlain. Yeah. But it's like Bam Adebayo, really? That's who slots between those two names? Like, what are we doing?
What do we do? What are the Wizards doing? I mean, they were quadruple the team. I mean, he shot 40-something free throws. I mean, he made like 36 free throws. So I mean, nearly half the points came from the stripe. Because they kept fouling him. They were throwing bodies at him left and right, but they kept fouling him, putting him into the line. And he did crank up. I'm sitting there saying he's not like a shooting guard, like you mentioned, Kobe, MJ, those kinds of players. But to have an inside guy basically put up 83 points is pretty remarkable. If you told me, if you sat me down and said, look, somebody's going to have 83 points tomorrow night in the league, and you threw out a few names. I mean, Bam Adebayo would have been the last one probably on my list out of 10 people that you would have named. I would have picked, a wing, or a shooting guard or somebody like that. You get streaky, you get hot, you keep feeding them the ball. It's the NBA. They don't play defense after all. So again, there's a lot of things that could happen right there. But yeah, Bam Adebayo, of all people, sketching his name in the history books this week right here on the NBA. Hey, we're up against our first break. Appreciate you guys listening in. Once again, a Thirsty Thursday edition of the Morning Rant. We're the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com.
98.1 and 93.7 The Sports Pig, the official home for the Atlanta Braves baseball.
Tired of shouting your business's name into the void and getting nothing but crickets? Your brand deserves more than awkward billboard glances and flyers lining bird cages. Right now, listeners are hearing me ramble on instead of your ad. That's a touchdown for missed opportunities and a fumble for your wallet. Your ad could be here, making fans laugh, cheer, and most importantly, call you. Go to sportspigradio.com or call 678-454-9552 and get your business off the bench and into the game.
Big opinions
Nobody pray for me.
of the big
They been out
games
there for me.
from the big mouths.
Man, I think it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's the Morning Rant on WPGY, the Sports Pig, North Georgia's home for ESPN Radio.
Sit down.
And welcome back to the program. Dave Garner with you till 11 o'clock this morning right here on the Morning Rant, live on the Sports Pig. And a lot of different ways to listen to this show and the station. As always, we live on social media. Again, the Sports Pig on Facebook and on Twitter. Some call it X, but I call it Twitter. And the Morning Rant on Instagram at the Morning Rant, as well as our YouTube. Again, you can watch full video sessions of this show on YouTube. And for those that are watching on YouTube right now, we appreciate you guys being with us. We got to be careful not to, pick our noses or anything like that. We got to do that during the commercial breaks, Coop. We can't let that out there. So, hopefully we can keep it PG rated.
A little demeanor never hurt anybody.
Exactly. So, again, you and I tend to not be big nose pickers anyway. So that's a good thing, thankfully, right? Yes. The salute. Caught you off guard with that one. I love doing that, man. Anytime I can get Coop off guard, man, I love it. No. Appreciate you guys being back. Obviously, March Madness, as we talked about. Hey, our friends at Geiger Legal have a bracket challenge going on, and we want to encourage you guys to join. I joined it last night officially, and basically it's through ESPN, but it's the Geiger Legal Gives Back Bracket Challenge. And basically what this is, we encourage everyone to go sign up. It's totally free. You don't have to put any money in, but guess what? If you win it, you get money. You get $1,000 in your pocket. But the best part about it is Casey explained yesterday right here on the program, as they are going to donate $10,000 to a local charity. You get to choose from a list of charities, and it's going to be in your name. So basically, $10,000 to a charity in your name, and also $1,000 in your pocket. Doesn't get any better for that. Right? So it doesn't get any better than that. Go to Geiger Legal Group online. Again, Geiger-Legal, Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. There's links. You click them to join. It takes you right into the ESPN Geiger Legal Group Bracket Challenge. You can join it, like I said, for free. I want to say right now, as of last night, Coop, when I went in there, I think there were about 45 people or so that have joined. So pretty good. I mean, considering that Selection Sunday you hadn't even been able to pick yet, right? I mean, it doesn't technically open, I think, until, Sunday night or Monday morning, however ESPN works. You and I, of course, I've been part of your bracket challenge, which we'll continue to do that one if you want, with Art and the rest of the guys, which, oh, by the way, I've won the last 2 years. So I'm trying to make it 3 in a row this year, as you nod.
That's all you're going to get out of me, partner. I mean, listen, I gave you your flowers last week. You can take your own victory lap if you want, but I'm not going to sit here and gloat for you.
No, I'm giving you a hard time. I mean, it's like I said last week, man. I got to take my digs while I can. So again, no, I do think, in all fairness, we're getting close to St. Patrick's Day, which is Tuesday. In all fairness, I think my luck's about to run out, and it's time to give way. I'm secretly cheering for our very own Art Mosley to finally be the expert like he claims to be.
You would think. I mean, the guy just touts his basketball knowledge, left, front, left, everywhere. And the next thing you know, the guy has never finished above third place in our bracket challenge. I don't even know what we're doing.
And I know he's listening right now, probably on the app. He's probably down in Atlanta at that cushy job of his at the bank there. But again, we do appreciate our buddy Art Mosley. He leans into it. We give him a hard time. We all give each. Oh my goodness! I think he's texting me right now as we speak. So that was quick. Yes, I knew he did say, by the way, second place. He did finish second place, and he said it's not a cushy job. And I totally agree. I know what all he does. He works. I mean, the guy jumps on a train early in the morning, jumps on a train late in the afternoon. I get home. I mean, a lot of times I'll call him when I'm home, and I'm like, okay, man, let's talk about the game this weekend or whatever. And it's 8 o'clock, or y'all getting ready to do something, and he's still not home yet. I mean, so we do say that to say that Art is a very hardworking man.
Hey, it's it's quite an interesting position to take, the fact that you're going to correct me and put yourself at second place. So, I mean, normally I would probably just let that slide, so that way we drop it. But now that we know that he's making a point to include that he was second place once, I'll never forget that.
Well, there you go. The gauntlet has been laid down here by the Golden Boy on this Thirsty Thursday edition of the Morning Rant. Hey, Coop, let's talk it. Speaking of Art, he lives out there in that Creekview district of Cherokee County. And speaking of, the Lady Grizzlies are going at it tomorrow down in Macon for the 5A Girls State Basketball Championship, taking on a geographically familiar foe in Milton, the Lady Eagles. And I've been saying this the last couple of days. Maybe you can clarify how many miles apart would you say those two schools are from each other? I mean, easily within 15, 20 miles, right? Easily.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say just over under, I'd put it at 12. Don't bet on how different the schools are in distance, you bunch of degenerates. But if I had to, that's what I would put. But yeah, I mean, the districts literally butt up against one another because the county line is the separator between those two.
And it would be real easy for me to just pull out my phone and GPS the distance between the two. But, again, I'm old, and so I haven't done that yet.
Are you taking over or under on the 12?
I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to go under. I think the two schools, honestly, are less than 12 miles apart. I could be wrong. I think
now, obviously, this isn't as the crow flies. So.
Right, exactly. This is driving directions. But why? What do you got? What do you got? He's showing me right here. It is
exactly 12 miles.
It's exactly 12 miles. And I was thinking that was a good man. I'm gonna applaud you right there. I mean, the Golden Boy, man, going after it again, right on it. I mean, you're over under. So if you bet even, man, which nobody did because everybody's either going over or under.
I'm taking everybody's money.
You taking everybody's money this morning right here on the Morning Rant. But good job. 12. So there we go. The official, driving direction, say 12 miles. So yeah, I mean, two schools separated nonetheless by 12 miles of real estate. Both going down to Macon tomorrow, 5:30. Our live coverage, by the way, over on our sister station, over on 101.1 The Pulse, begins at 5:15 tomorrow. We'll come on for a brief pregame show, and then we'll have tip-off at 5:30 from the Macon Centerplex for you tomorrow as the Creekview Lady Grizzlies take on the Milton Lady Eagles. And then on Saturday, we'll come back and talk about it in a moment, but then on Saturday, Murray County in the 2A bracket taking on Hardaway in a rematch of last year's state championship game. That again, down in Macon, 11 a.m., and that also on our sister station, The Pulse, 101.1 FM, with our live coverage beginning promptly right at 10:45. So, again, we hope that you'll join us for that live coverage beginning tomorrow and Saturday, and then Saturday evening at 6:05 over on our sister station, Brave Spring Training. We've got a full radio schedule for you. 6:05, we'll have first pitch from spring training. A lot of folks out there talking about, hey, where can I hear spring training on the radio? Well, you can hear a selected number of games right here. And then once we get into the season, all 162 right here on either and or the Sports Pig and our sister station, The Pulse, throughout the year. Most games will be broadcast live right here. So, again, download the app, take the stream with you. That way, if for some reason you're traveling and you're outside the radio signal, which is hard to do for our sister station, but again, you can listen to all 162 Braves games on the app or on the live stream for the Sports Pig. Again, that's the Sports Pig app. If you go into your Apple or Android, type in the Sports Pig, it'll pop up, or you can also go to our live stream at sportspigradio.com. And then over on the Pulse, the same deal. Download the Pulse app or log on to the stream. That's at 1011thepulse.com. Again, 1011thepulse.com, and you can listen to all 162 of the Atlanta Braves this year. But, Coop, diving back into high school basketball, I know as admittedly, as a proud Grizzly alum, as a proud Creekview alum, I know you've got to be a little bit swelled up inside with pride here as the Lady Grizzlies, who topped River Ridge, another county opponent, by the way, last year's defending champs, able to get the overtime win in the semifinals.
Yeah, it's great to see. I mean, Creekview is a school that has excelled in a lot of different sports, but they haven't been in that level with the county as far as girls basketball, which we talked about last week, the tradition, and obviously Cherokee County, Forsyth County, Pickens, Gilmer, Fannin, Murray
Right,
as you
yeah.
go up and down North Georgia.
Yep.
So it's good to see them in that conversation, and obviously facing a local opponent in Milton. I'm sure they'll all be familiar with each other as well. But I think it's a great thing for the school. I think it's a great thing for the program. I know that program has been through some changes over the last few years, and it seems like that they have brought in the right people, pulled the right levers, and I'm tickled to death for them. Hopefully this is one of those situations where their lack of experience in a championship game won't hurt them, and hopefully they'll be able to pull this out, because I don't believe off the top of my head that Milton has been in a championship game in a few years either.
Right.
So
yeah.
hopefully that'll be an even playing field as we head into this matchup.
Yeah, and obviously Murray County, too, with a true redemption story, perhaps, if they're able to get that win over Hardaway. I know Coach Chris Tipton not necessarily looking at it like that because that's not necessarily the approach, but I know that in the back of their mind, again, we're talking about teenagers here, right? They're thinking about that. They would love nothing more than to get revenge on Hardaway, the team that ousted them in the state championship game last year. For those that are wondering, Hardaway's out of the Columbus area, and so, again, Murray County and Columbus going at it on Saturday morning, 11 a.m. from the Macon Centerplex. I like what the GHSA is doing. Admittedly, I know at times people have been critical, but the 3-point contest they're doing throughout the middle of the day in between classifications. I think they have a dunk contest on Saturday. So again, a lot of things that the Georgia High School Association is doing to try to boost the game day experience. So kudos to them. Again, Marvin James, my friend at the GHSA, a former journalist and sports reporter, is now the media director at the Georgia High School Association, and so we're going to be there and looking forward to that. Coop, on a broader level, and we're up against our first break, so we'll talk about this maybe a little bit more on the other side of the break, but it does seem, quickly, your thoughts, it does seem like there has been, and we go back to football season, a power shift in Georgia high school sports from south to north. Not to dog on our friends from the south. If you look at some of the smaller classification brackets, a lot of, Elbert County, well, Albert even is more in the north, but, some South Georgia teams certainly that are still making some noise. But for the most part, when you talk about football and basketball in the larger classifications, man, it's all North Georgia. I mean, the 6A boys bracket, the Final Four was all Cobb County this year. So, again, definitely that power shift that we talk about.
Yeah, I mean, as far as basketball goes, it's certainly something that's worth noting. Not that South Georgia was ever a powerhouse for basketball like it was football, but I still think that a lot of these metro Atlanta schools are putting money in the program, and they're able to fund some things and get the right guys in, whether that's coaching or players. And it's kind of culminating in a really good bracket, as you mentioned, Cobb County showing out right there, and, Cherokee County girls and up the, 575, 515 corridor, not far behind them.
Yep, absolutely. Looking forward to that. Wheeler, by the way, and Pebblebrook in that 6A state championship on Saturday night down in Macon. Let's go ahead and take our second break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the Atlanta Braves, and we'll dive into some NFL free agency. You're listening to the Thirsty Thursday edition of the Morning Rant right here on the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia and on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com.
98.1 and 93.7 The Sports Pig, your official home for flag-to-flag coverage of NASCAR.
Tired of shouting your business's name into the void and getting nothing but crickets? Your brand deserves more than awkward billboard glances and flyers lining bird cages. Right now, listeners are hearing me ramble on instead of your ad. That's a touchdown for missed opportunities and a fumble for your wallet.
Recovered, Atlanta. Game over.
Your ad could be here, making fans laugh, cheer, and most importantly, call you. Go to sportspigradio.com or call 678-454-9552 and get your business off the bench and into the game.
We bring the heat, you bring the trash talk.
Come on, man. Are you serious?
It's the Morning Rant, live on the Sports Pig app and sportspigradio.com.
A lot of sports on tap this weekend. Appreciate you guys being with us. It's a Thirsty Thursday right here on the Morning Rant. Dave Garner back with you alongside Will Cooper joining us on the program, our Braves Insider. We're going to talk about some Braves, more spring training notes coming up a little bit later on in the final segment of the show today. But right now, want to dive into a little bit of NFL free agency. Obviously, some big splashes being made around the league. A lot of talk around the Max Crosby deal that wasn't. The Ravens, of course, backed off of that due to a failed physical by Max Crosby. So then they turn around and they get another stud in Trey Hendrickson, who comes over from Cincinnati. But a lot of talk locally about our Atlanta Falcons and, of course, Kirk Cousins officially being released by the Falcons. We knew it was only a matter of time. There's been a lot of talk about it. And so now, obviously, we knew that was going to happen, certainly with them signing Tua in the first place. I know you've kind of been a supporter of Tua. You mentioned that a little bit. Of course, you're an Alabama guy, so of course you're going to love Tua. But what do you make, first of all, let's start with this quarterback room. What do you make of all the noise within the Falcons organization right now with now Cousins being released and Tua coming in?
Yeah, well, a quick pronunciation lesson for everybody. It's Tua Tagovailoa. I know it's not how it's spelled, but that's apparently the Polynesian pronunciation.
So it's not. What was President Trump trying to call him? He had a couple different names when he was trying to say Tua's name.
I just remember the Georgia play-by-play man butchering his name and making fun of him for being Hawaiian, and then immediately getting served poetic justice right on the back of it.
Oh my goodness! Here we go. I knew you had to take that dig. Why did I even open that door this morning? That's my fault. But anyway, go ahead.
I hate we missed February 26th, 2nd and 26th day. I hate it. I wish we had started the show by then.
Well, the Dogs have had the last laugh, the most recent last laugh. I mean, they did get him in the SEC title game. So,
yes, they did.
Yeah. So anyway, continue.
Yeah. Well, anyway, 9-1 over their last 10 games. So, when you look at what Tua did, and I'll give credit where it's due. My brother actually pointed this out. Tua's left-handed, just like Michael Penix is. And when you have two left-handed quarterbacks, anybody that was a fan of the Falcons back in the early 2000s with Michael Vick, one thing that some of the wide receivers talked about was how difficult it was to switch from catching passes from a right-handed quarterback to a left.
Yeah.
So I think that cuts out a large portion of it. And when you have a guy that's semi-mobile, like Penix and Tua are kind of both, they can move, but they're not dual threats. But that allows you to build a playbook that rolls out to the left side. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So I think all of that kind of plays in together. Obviously, Kirk has to go just to clear the cap space, but that quarterback room is pretty cheap. You could have plenty of weapons around him. Obviously, the franchise tag goes to Kyle Pitts. I think overall they did a pretty good job with what they had on the market. Obviously, you assume Penix is the starter, but if he does get hurt, at least Tua is kind of like Cousins, where he does have some success in the NFL.
So we've had a different situation all week long, really, with some of the folks that have joined the show. I mean, I think the initial reaction to Tua coming to Atlanta was like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? The guy's a concussion away from his playing days being over. But then I think as folks that I've talked to and had right here on the program have said, after getting a full night of sleep and then waking up and kind of thinking about the financials to it and the fact that it may not necessarily be a long term, we may only be talking a few weeks. Now, my thing is I would love for Tua to be a long-term solution, because what that would mean is that he's thrown for 10 touchdowns, and one interception in the first 3 weeks of the season or 4 weeks of the season until Penix comes back. And then all of a sudden you got a decision you got to make. And I hope it comes to that. I hope it's not a situation where we're sitting here, a month into football season saying, oh, thank goodness Penix is ready to go, because then obviously that means things haven't gone well. So in an ideal world, you'd love for both quarterbacks to be a situation where it's kind of like positive and negative, where two negatives equal a positive. You kind of hope that maybe that's what we get this year in that quarterback room for the Atlanta Falcons. But it may very well be that if there's a negative and a positive, then I don't know. It might make that decision a little bit easier. So I think it's definitely a very intriguing situation for the Atlanta Falcons when you look at their quarterback room. I know that some of the other moves they've made over the last week or so have involved their receiver room, which they certainly needed to boost. Obviously, special teams, as we talked about, have been absolutely horrid for this Atlanta Falcons team over the last couple of years, particularly this past year. They went out, they got Jake Bailey, the punter. They went out and got Nick Folk, who's, a 40-year-old kicker, but nonetheless experienced, a little bit more reliable. So you see the Falcons making some moves, I think, and then the joke has been all week long, the Falcons have been shopping at TJ Maxx or at Burlington, it seems like, with the moves that they've made, and I know there's been some memes made about that as well. But what about some of the other surrounding moves? Anything else jump out of the air at you involving the Falcons in free agency?
No, I mean, I think they're like you when you go buy some new jewelry at Kohl's with your Kohl's cash. And, they're getting the discount. They're trying to look flashy, but yeah, that's exactly right. But not really able to do it, on a baller budget. So I think that they're doing all the right stuff when you kind of look at what they've done, especially over the last couple of days. It's mostly been offensive linemen for depth. I just saw come across the wire. There was a defensive lineman that they re-signed. I don't even think he was on the active roster, probably a practice squad guy. Yeah. But one final thought on that, by the way, is that two things. First of all, Tua undefeated at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 3-0. And we were talking about the comparison to, Michael Vick being the left-handed quarterback. Tua also notably not that kind to dogs, especially in Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
God. You have been, I tell you what, you've been looking that thing up all week. You probably AI'd that and said, okay, AI, tell me, what are some things that I can bring to the show that would be those subtle digs into the hearts of dogs and Falcons fans? And so kudos to you, Will Cooper. I mean, I mean, nothing but applause is here today, man. You bringing it.
The saddest part is I know all of that off the top of my head.
I'm sure you probably. We are going to have, folks, I'm just telling you right now, the reason we put this show on in March is because we wanted to make sure that we were established on the air with, A, your Atlanta Braves and all the different partnerships we have right here on the show. But B, we wanted to make sure that we were hot and heavy in football season. By the time football season rolled back around, you guys would know about this show because let me tell you, it's going to get fun around the end of July, August. I can tell you right now, as we transition more into our college football talk, again, we're going to have a lot of fun because we've got so many different fan bases represented right here on the show. I'm kind of all over the place, but, Billy D's a big Bulldog fan. John Davis is obviously a diehard Georgia Tech fan. You're Alabama. We've got some War Eagle friends out there. We got some different folks. So, again, we're going to have a lot of fun as we talk college football, and we'll begin to do that some here, too, over the next month with, spring football practice, the recruiting trail, obviously things are going on, so we're going to dive into that. Our buddy Chuck Oliver, who comes on at 11 o'clock every day right here Monday through Friday on the Sports Pig, is the Southern Sports Today, the king of college football, and so he has a lot of that talk, and we're going to begin to kind of be a lead-up show for Chuck a little bit when it comes to college football. But no, I mean, you're right. I mean, I think with the NFL, one guy I hated to see go was D. Alford, who, of course, signed with the Buffalo Bills. A lot of moves being made right now. I saw Bradley Chubb, speaking of Buffalo, Bradley Chubb going to the Bills. Different guys, a lot of moving and shaking, man. It's the silly season for the NFL. Anything else stand out at you as far as any other moves around the league this week?
No, I thought the Max Crosby one was super interesting because even after he failed the physical, there were teams that reached back out to the Raiders. And, I know each team gets to do their own physical and maybe they're willing to overlook something and maybe even lower the draft capital because how hurt does Max Crosby have to be before he's not worth a second rounder, I would say.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. So I think that there's a lot of things in the league kind of across the board that we'll see. One that I think should surprise a lot of people and one that'll be notable is 49ers signing Mike Evans, the obviously great veteran from Tampa Bay. But I think that's going to make a big difference in that division in the NFC West.
I think that's probably out of all the picks. And there's been a lot of guys, again, impactful players moving around the league. But I was just fixing to say, you took the thought right out of my mind. I mean, the Mike Evans going to San Francisco, I think, doing some ring chasing, I think at this point, obviously pulling the Kevin Durant, as we said early in the week right here on the show. But again, he was a 6-time Pro Bowler with Tampa Bay. I know if you're a Falcons fan, you love not to have to see Mike Evans twice a year because, of course, he's one of those players that's been a killer. But at this point, you hate to see Bryce Young twice a year if you're the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, the only team that some of these guys ever ball out, I mean, the Falcons have a history and a tradition of making backup quarterbacks quarterbacks look like Joe Montana. So, again, it's one of those things that's kind of tough. But the Falcons continuing to make moves. We talked about, of course, Tyler Algier having to move on as well. Cap casualty. I mean, you can't keep two running backs in today's climate. So, Bajan. But, again, special teams. I mean, I'm telling you, I talked about it earlier in the week. I mean, it's not something sexy that people like to talk about. But to me, that was the worst phase for the Atlanta Falcons this year. It wasn't even necessarily offense, defense, able to get to the quarterback. I mean, doing the things that you want them to be able to do. Of course, James Pierce Jr., that kind of puts you behind the eight ball a little bit now with that whole situation there, that disaster. But again, hopefully the Falcons can make some moves and get back into the conversation.
Time to hang it in the Louvre.
Oh, this looks nice.
Our favorite moments from the week in sports here on the Morning Rant.
All right, Coop, again, looking over the last couple days right here, what is the biggest sports moment that has jumped out to you so far this week here on a Thirsty Thursday right here on the Morning Rant?
I got two real quick. I'll give you the first one. It's obviously Team USA dropping the game to Italy, but I'm getting ready to hit you with a curveball, no pun intended. Let's move over to ATP Indian Wells. It's the Masters 1000 going on over there in California right now.
Okay. Ooh,
Jack
he's going
Draper.
golf. Yeah.
No, this is ATP, so this is tennis.
Oh, it's tennis. Oh, my bad. I thought you said PGA. ATP. Yes, sorry.
Swing and a miss on the curveball. But Jack Draper, the 19th ranked player, upsetting Novak Djokovic,
Oh,
the
wow.
third ranked player. And it was a dandy. 4-6 in the first set for Djokovic, and then 6-4 the second one, and then an instant classic 7-6 with the final game ending 7-5 games. It was a classic game. Loved watching it. Oddly, kind of become a tennis fan over the last couple of months, but really fun to see Draper pull off the upset as he's set now for the Final Four.
You dug deep for that one right there, partner. I didn't think that you were that intellectual that you would have followed a game as intelligent as tennis. So that's why it kind of caught me off guard, man. I'm sorry. Sorry about that, but
no
anyway.
comment.
No. Hey, we're going to talk a lot of different stuff. It ain't just going to be, football, baseball, basketball. And we talk about hockey on here, of course. We talked about curling in the Olympics. But really, again, North Georgia, when you think about it, big tennis communities, big golf communities. Our friend Billy D, of course, won the next level golf tournament over the weekend. He brought his big championship belt in here on Tuesday. So we are going to dive into more golf talk as we get closer to the Masters and, of course, tennis as well. My wife, admittedly, is a big tennis fan, so we do watch a lot of tennis. Djokovic obviously is still going at it, doing his thing. I like some of those different guys. Who's the one guy? I can never remember his name. I think he's the Australian guy that always talks smack every time he walks out on the court. Kyrgios. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Kyrgios, yeah. That guy's fun to watch, man. I mean, he's like such an outcast. Like, he is the Happy Gilmore of tennis, right? Backwards baseball cap. Shouting and yelling, at the crowd, at the referee. I mean, he's like the kind of like the second coming, if you will, of John McEnroe. So, again, a lot of fun there. All right, man. Appreciate you guys being with us right here. We're up against our third break. We'll go ahead and step aside. Come right back for our final segment of the program. We appreciate you guys being with us right here on a Thirsty Thursday inside the Morning Rant here in our Carriage Kia studios. Again, we are the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com.
98.1 and 93.7 The Sports Pig, where hot takes meet hot mics.
Tired of shouting your business's name into the void and getting nothing but crickets? Your brand deserves more than awkward billboard glances and flyers lining bird cages. Right now, listeners are hearing me ramble on instead of your ad. That's a touchdown for missed opportunities and a fumble for your wallet.
Recovered, Atlanta, game over.
Your ad could be here, making fans laugh, cheer, and most importantly, call you. Go to sportspigradio.com or call 678-454-9552 and get your business off the bench and into the game.
Morning Grind with Pork Rinds.
Welcome to the show.
It's the Morning Rant, weekday mornings from 10 to 11 on 98.1, 93.7, and 101.1 on the H2 dial. WPGY, the Sports Pig.
Welcome back to the fastest 1 hour in sports talk radio. It's the Morning Rant right here on the Sports Pig. Appreciate you guys being with us. We are the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia. At the top of the hour, again, Chuck Oliver will be along talking about hoops, college football, you name it. Again, Chuck Oliver, 11 to 1 right here on the Sports Pig. And then Rich Eisen and Paul Feinbaum later this afternoon, our friends at ESPN. Appreciate you guys being on board with us once again right here on a thirsty Thursday. Hey, just a couple of big things coming up over the next couple weekends. We will be Saturday afternoon. We'll be set up at the Shamrock Shenanigans in the Alley event right off of Main Street in downtown Jasper on Stegall Drive, a fundraiser for the Rotary Impact Club, which of course benefits the youth, the high school, and future Rotarians, the future community leaders taking shape. And so a big event on Saturday. Look for our Sports Pig tent between 2 and 6 o'clock. And then next weekend, March 21st and 22nd, we have the Wing and Rock Fest taking place. And again, we are the official sports talk radio station. Our sister station, 101.1 The Pulse, is also going to be there. We'll be there all next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, an event that draws a really good crowd usually each and every year, a wing eating contest, which is right up my alley. I'll just go ahead and say it. But again, live tribute bands all day long. They're going to have a farmer's market, a kids area, arts and crafts, man, you name it, a little bit of everything taking place at the Etowah River Park in Canton next Saturday and Sunday, March the 21st and 22nd. Mark your calendars. Again, we'll be doing some emceeing. We'll be out there broadcasting live, giving away some different things, and looking forward to that event. It's always a lot of fun. So, again, we hope to see you guys there, and we'll talk about it a little bit more next week as we get closer to the event. But we appreciate you guys being with us right here on a Thursday. And right now, time for a fourth quarter segment, if you will, that we like to call. Now, that's what I'm talking about.
From the buzzer beaters to the big hits. If it's making noise in the world of sports, we've got something to say about it. This is Now That's What I'm Talking About.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your all-access pass to the hottest takes in the world of sports.
All right, so Coop, we started the show today by talking a little bit about the Atlanta Braves spring training and kind of talking a little bit about the rotation. I want to dive back into that here in this final segment, and let's jump over to the offensive side of things. We were talking about Profar, of course, or Pedfar, as some people are calling him now, PED Pedfar. Again, going to be out, it looks like, for all 162. I'm not sure where we're at in the appeals process, if they've handed down the official judgment yet, but regardless, with him being a second-time offender, it doesn't look like we're going to see Jurickson Profar anytime soon in a Braves uniform. He was also supposed to be part of the World Baseball Classic too, with the Netherlands there, but I think he obviously was out of that as well. So again, a lot going on, some moving and shaking, having to work around the lineup a little bit. What do you think about any thoughts to expand off of last week as we kind of went position by position down the grid as far as this Braves potential opening day lineup?
Well, I was actually going to ask you before we jump into it. I was thinking about doing some redecorating because I know you have great chagrin for the masterclass that was the 2017 National Championship. I was thinking about putting up a John Rocker jersey up here that's framed because I love what he had to say about the great state of New York and New York City. Do you think it would look better on the left or the right?
Yeah. With John Rocker probably on the right, right? I mean,
I would say so. Great point. So with that being said, as far as position groups go, I don't think any of it's changed. I think it's all kind of the same. Matt Olson first, Riley third, obviously shortstop. We talked about Dubon. Based on what I've seen, he's really been hitting the ball pretty well. I believe in spring training, he's up to 299 average.
Yeah, Mauricio. He's getting around on it. Yep.
Yeah, after their win against the Blue Jays. And then obviously Ozzie at second. Everything else is kind of taken care of. Obviously, the outfield is still the big question. It doesn't sound like they're going to sign anybody. So whether there's a platoon guy that you can roll out there, obviously Yaz has come up some. Eli White is the most disappointing, unexcitable name you can possibly throw in that lineup to bat just below the Mendoza line and look goofy as heck when he's running around the bases as well. So all of that to say that we're going to be fine. I do think the trade deadline will tell us a lot. And I hate to say that when we're sitting here in March, but I do think there's a ton to be explored at the trade deadline with some of the capital they have.
I'm like you. Where is Drew? Drew Waters, right? Local product, Etowah High School. Where is Drew? That's who we need. We need him to help out in the out. Because Eli White. I mean, come on, and no disrespect, but I mean, there's just, there's some players I felt like on this Braves team over the last couple of years were kind of a stopgap, if we're being honest. And I know everybody has a payroll, and you want to stay within that. The Braves, again, with the battery and with everything they have going on, to their credit as an organization, they have spent a little bit more money at times when it's made sense. I think Alex Anthopoulos, obviously any GM's going to spend more if you give it to him, but I think he's probably hamstrung. So that's why, maybe we haven't seen some of the bigger names that had been rumored to kind of come to Atlanta come to fruition to that, because just like any business, you do have a budget you have to work within. But that said, I think that this Braves team, I'm hoping at least last year was kind of an anomaly for what we saw. But again, I think you've got too much talent on this team as long as it stays somewhat healthy to not be a postseason team, right? So again, there's going to be some moves made throughout the season, as we know, because there always is, because there's things you can't predict that happen, like injuries and so forth. But I think the biggest thing, and we said it in the first segment today, for this Braves team is that rotation. They've got to kind of nail down that rotation. You talked about Chris Sale. We're putting a lot of faith in a guy that's 40 plus. We've got Spencer Strider, who you hope come back, but may have lost a little velocity there. Again, you mentioned something last week. You said your mind tells you one thing, your heart says another. I hope that your heart says that. Maybe he is holding back a little bit in spring training, because after all, it is spring ball. I do know that he is trying to add more to his arsenal rather than being a one hit wonder, if you will, and getting away from the fastball and using some off speed and some breaking stuff a little bit more. That might have contributed to some of his health issues last year, honestly, because that takes a little bit more wear and tear off your arm when you're trying to throw curveballs, when you're trying to do different things. So we'll see what kind of arsenal he has. Maybe he'll get back more to that, but I think if he's losing velocity off the fastball, then he is going to have to rely off that third pitch, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, Spencer Strider reminds me of Manfred's Man Earth Band, just a one-hit wonder that, without the fastball, it's just not going to go well. If we don't have Blinded by the Light, then, we're going to be wrapped up in who knows what. So
good music references right here, by the way, because we do talk a lot of music, so there's another nod for you.
What can I say? I'm multifaceted today. But yeah, look, I mean, they've signed a couple of guys that I'm still waiting to see what they look like in spring training. They brought a couple of pitchers that do have major league experience. Lopez is a name that comes up as well.
Oh yeah,
he's probably going to be the fourth pitcher in that rotation. Bryce Elder is still around. And my message to Atlanta fans is just remember, guys, we were all complaining about how bad Christian Pache was, but how bad could he really be?
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I mean, it wouldn't be necessarily a bad idea to, bring him back if you had to, I guess, as far as a name in the outfield. I know they did get rid of. I knew there was somebody, Hayden Harris, optioned back to AAA. He was a pitcher that had some promise there as well. Carlos Carrasco, Hernandez, a couple of those guys are some names that being thrown around as far as some of your right-handed pitchers. But I think that really, I think AA is going to want to give some of these guys some swings in the minors before. As far as the opening day roster, I kind of agree with you. I feel like it's pretty much somewhat set. You might have one or two spots that are going to come out of camp competing, but I think the biggest thing they want to do is there is a thing called player development, right? You want to develop some of your players, and so again, from the standpoint of financials and things like that, you're going to owe guys more if they're on the roster opening day than if you bring them up a month later. So I think there are going to be some guys that are going to be optioned out. We're going to see moves like that where it's like, man, this guy's really been showing out. Why is he not on the opening 25? But again, a situation where I think that we could see some moves depending on what happens. Hopefully we won't be in that position, but depending on what happens over the first month of the season, we could certainly see some guys moving up and down the card.
Yeah, and some of this stuff hurts a little bit when you kind of look at some of the talent that was traded away. I know a lot of people look at William Contreras, a guy that was dealt. If you had to go back and undo that deal, you would do it 10 times out of 10. Shea Langoliers, Christian Pache, Drew Waters, some of these names that we're kind of mentioning in jest. But man,
Vaughn Grissom,
if you had that talent still around, Vaughn Grissom, it's a tough kind of road to hoe. And then some of the names didn't pan out. Max Fried leaves for New York. can you blame the guy? Obviously, the Yankees are going to pay him more. Mike Soroka, by the way, playing for Team Canada.
Yes, playing for Team Canada. Yep. I
Shout out to the Moose.
Yeah.
But that's a name you would love to have if he was who he was. But, man, he hasn't been that way in forever. Sean Newcomb. Yeah. The guy pitched a complete game shutout in 2019. 2021, his ERA was 19 over 20 games for the year.
You think about the guys like Kyle Wright and some of those guys that have been with us the last few years, and Soroka obviously had the issues with the arm and had a couple different ACLs and different things, and so it just kind of injury riddled. So again, very unfortunate there. But who knows? We might see some of these guys return to uniform, much like the Atlanta Falcons with Austin Hooper coming back, Olamide Zaccheaus. Maybe we'll see some familiar faces back at the Braves. I'll never forget, and we're up against the end of the show right here, but in the final minute or so, I'll never forget. Basically, having worked in Rome, you and I had the opportunity to work together a little bit over there and watch the Braves, and that magical World Series year, we're right in the middle of a Sunday game, and Bryce Ball, the first baseman for the Rome Braves, who was projected to be the future of the position, gets traded mid-game for a guy by the name of Jock Peterson, who was with the Chicago Cubs at the time there, and everybody was like, that's kind of interesting deal right there. But again, we all know how the rest played out. And so, it's a situation where hopefully we can recapture some of that magic from 2021.
Hopefully, man. I mean, that was just kind of an incredible year that got put together. Kind of the same thing as this year. Hopes were high, and then injuries whittled it down, but AA pulled off some magic. Let's hope we got some of that coming around in July this time, too.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to keep our eye on it for you right here. Thanks for joining us once again on a Thirsty Thursday right here on the Morning Rant. That's going to wrap it up for us once again. Dave Garner in studio with you right here along with the Golden Boy, Will Cooper. Again, follow us once again on our social media, the Morning Rant on Instagram, and full video episodes on YouTube, and also the Sports Pig on Facebook and X. I call it Twitter. We appreciate you guys being with us once again right here on the program. Will's going to join me tomorrow. Again, we'll dive a little bit further into our Braves talk and kind of keep the discussion going, but we do appreciate you guys being with us right here as always. Once again, thank you to our sponsors, Geiger Legal, Foundation Wealth in Dalton, Green Heating and Cooling, The Pub in Ellijay, and our friends at Cherokee Mitsubishi, your community-driven dealer. Once again, friends of the program right here on the Morning Rant. Appreciate you guys being with us. Coop, I'll see you again tomorrow, man. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
There we go. As always, each and every day we sign off the show the same way, and we'll do it again here today by asking the question, if you don't know, you better ask somebody. There we go. Appreciate you guys being with us. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning, 10 to 11, right here on the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia. That's the Sports Pig and the Morning Rant right here on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com. We'll see you tomorrow.
98.1 and 93.7 The Sports Pig, your official home for Georgia Bulldogs basketball.